Okay, Steve here. And I drew a tarot card specifically asking Abrahamna, the new soul of the earth who incarnated in 1997 and set in motion this 28-year cycle of cleansing that completes on March 23rd of 2025. So just because of the energetics that I've personally been noticing that I'm working with, and I figure other people with maybe some extrasensory perception of the world energetics might be also experiencing, um, but it feels like there's been a bit more work to do lately. And so I felt that Abrahamanad was the one for me to ask, like, give us a sense of how we're doing, and so this is the second time in just really a week or two that we've got this card. So you figure, I think there's a lot of cards. I think 78 cards, and so when you get one repeating, that's unusual. So the card that we got is the Four of Wands, and it's about completion. The Four of Wands reminds us that before we can energetically move forward in new directions that have heart and meaning, it's important to consummate or complete that which we have set in motion. This symbol also represents the principle of having achieved something, which is also associated with completion. The astrological signs that are represented here are Venus in Aries. The sign of Venus is at the top of the card, and the sign of Aries at the bottom of the card. Venus is represented by the doves on the wheel, and Aries is represented by the rams on the wheel. The wheel itself represents completion and new beginnings, as portrayed by Eastern mandalas and Western medicine wheels, which represent wholeness and individuation, which I think is interesting because that was the topic of the reading that I did from the book Attuned by Thomas Hubble, was about individuation. Is like belonging and becoming, and how that works with, as we bring it into our consciousness, that works with our expansion and our feeling of space and safety. So it's interesting, and this has been happening really synchronistically, where I'll do typically a tarot reading, and maybe a Mayan calendar reading, and then read from the book Attuned, and they all seem to be talking about the same thing. I just think it's interesting the way the universe orchestrates this type of thing. So it says, whenever you pull this symbol, it both represents simultaneously something being completed as well as initiated. The Four of Wands is visually a reminder of an emotional desire, Venus, to move in new directions, Aries, but from a sense of feeling that there has been completion or consummation of projects or relationships or issues before one ventures forward. When you pull this card, it indicates that the next 4 weeks or the next 4 months would be a good time to move in new directions and simultaneously complete things, or to move only in new directions as a result of feeling that you are complete with certain issues, projects, or important relationships. Symbol can also indicate the next 4 weeks, the next 4 months, there may be something that you want to initiate or complete with important Aries people in your life. If there are no important Aries people in your life, then the month of Aries may be a time where certain things can be achieved, completed, and consummated. And March 23rd of 2025, I believe, is Aries. Pretty sure it's Aries. So we can be initiating our consciousness towards the completion of this 28 years of cleansing, which completes in the month of Aries on March 23rd, 2025, so 10 or so months from now. We're moving through this process. We're moving into a future that maybe we don't quite have a picture of, which is okay, because the energetics, if you've ever watched cymatics, which is cymatics, and cymatics is the effect of vibration or sound on form. So how things come into form through sound. In the beginning was the sound. It was one, interpretation, but form comes from the vibration. What holds something in the form it's in is the vibration. If you change the sound or the vibration, the form changes. And you can look up cymatics on YouTube and watch how they change the tone and how that changes the form. So a lot of tonal changes are happening right now, so our forms are changing, and we're maybe experiencing it in different ways. But I've really looked at over the course of the last 50 years how emotions get stored in different parts of the body, and then they're experienced as contraction. And those emotions attract particles. So when we have quite an emotional release, we oftentimes have a bit of a detox. So we might get a cold or, just have stuff coming out of the body after a particular emotional release. And anyway, there could be a lot of those going on for you right now. I'll just tell you, there's a lot of those going on for me right now. I feel like I'm in a continuous state of recalibration. I feel like I'm finding myself anew throughout the day. I'm finding things that are really useful for me to be letting go of and completing energetically, releasing and integrating experiences that were unresolved in the past, completing them now, and being more and more present for what the world is going to be bringing next, and feeling the space to handle what's coming next. Because when I get triggered and I draw in and I separate, and then I begin reacting to the world and pulling back from the world and losing my trust of those that I'm in relationship with, that tends to go away when I release the energy of separation and the energies related to unresolved events, and I get more spacious. And in a state of more spaciousness, I can think better. I just finished watching a video of Thomas Hübl, H-U-B-L, which has to do with wisdom. And I don't have access to it right now, but just type in Thomas Hübl and wisdom. And it's almost like, it's not creating wisdom, but it's embracing wisdom. That's not the exact word of it, but if you just put Thomas Hübl, and it was only about a 30-minute video, but it was just packed full of good information. Okay. So it can be, the month of Aries may be a time where certain things can be achieved, completed, and consummated, while simultaneously initiating new things into certain aspects of your life. The Four of Wands basically reflects to us that some aspect of the self is in the process of completion and is whole, while another aspect of the self desires to experience something new, which is completely what the reading from the Attuned book is about. Okay. Basically, the symbol represents the ability to look at oneself as being whole in external situations during the next 4 weeks and in the next 4 months. and in the next 10 months as well. So that's it for the Tarot reading today from the Soul of the Earth, and I hope this video finds you having a lovely day, and namaste.